Hello, this is Trish Plutz. I'm an advisor for the Online Master of Science in Civil Engineering program. Thank you for joining us today. This webinar is designed to help applicants with the application process and know the qualifications and guide you through our application. Thank you again for joining us, and we will be having question and answer at the end. You can also type in your questions as we go through the webinar, and we will go through the questions and answer them in the order they were received. So just briefly, we'll go through who are qualified applicants, what documents you will need, and how to submit your application with your fee. As far as the online program qualifications, well-qualified applicants will have a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering from an ABET accredited program, a minimum of a 3.0 on a 4.0 scale in a cumulative undergrad GPA, and there are other caveats of people who can be accepted to the program, which we'll discuss now. Applicants who may not have a bachelor's in civil engineering can review this list of other pathways or additional pathways to acceptance. There are a lot of folks who apply to the program who have a closely related degree background or relevant work experience, and I encourage you to read through these different scenarios to see if you may be eligible. But what I also encourage you to do is to call in and talk with your advisor, and we can do pre-qualification for you with your resume and transcripts. So if you do feel like you have suitable qualifications and a background that may make you eligible, please work with your advisor. All right, as far as our application materials, it's fairly simple. We would need your transcripts from all the schools you previously attended, and that would include community colleges. We can accept unofficial transcripts that you upload yourself, but we would need your official transcripts before the end of the first semester in order to register for the second semester. So I always encourage students to go ahead and request their transcripts, and e-transcripts are considered official. They're usually cheaper and faster, and if you go on to Google and Google your school name and transcript request, it'll pull you up to your school's page, and you can have them sent to us directly electronically. The resume would be an up-to-date resume detailing your work roles and responsibilities. And of course, we would want you to highlight any internships or things that you've done, as an undergrad in the civil engineering category. And always do try to send an updated resume. I have a lot of applicants who send me resumes without their latest job on there, and it's always important to see, where you're working currently. Your personal statement will be detailed in a later slide, but usually it's 1 to 2 pages, and we really want to know a little bit more about your educational and work background, what you're hoping to achieve with your degree, and why you think our program is a good fit for you. Letters of recommendation can come from professional references. They don't necessarily have to be academic references unless you've recently graduated. Usually it's best to have a current or past work supervisor or colleague engineers who have worked with you on a team, and that would be a suitable recommendation. What I want to add here regarding recommendations is that it is a seamless process when you enter your recommenders' names and email addresses in your application. They will get sent a request for their letter of recommendation from our graduate college. So what you would want to do is tell your recommenders to, after you ask them for their letters, just tell them they'll be receiving an email, and they just click through that email and fill out a short form and add their comments or upload their letter there. So it's really easy for you and for your recommenders. And last but not least, your application fee is $50, and we always ask that you don't submit your application until you're certain of the term that you are starting. If you're kind of on the cusp and are not sure, just wait to submit your application so you don't have to change it at the end, which means you have to go through another process, so it's easier for you. And then also check on the program code, which we will mention later on as well. And here is the link to start your application within this presentation. Now, when you start your application, you're going to be selecting from the following pick list. And what you do want to pick is a degree-seeking applicant. And then when you get into that application, you want to make sure that you are checking those boxes. And I just highlighted this because it is really difficult to get through the application. It's very long-winded, as it were. So I just wanted to make sure I highlighted these two areas for you. Next slide. And you would be selecting, at this point, the Apply Online. So that's the section that you would go to next. And this is the area when you will be adding your application materials. You'll upload your resume. You will also upload your personal statement of goals and any references that you may have. And if, for example, there's any issue at all with uploading documents, please know that I can upload those for you, or your advisor can do that. So you'd simply email us your documents, and we would be able to do that for you. As far as your resume, again, just going through and making sure it's current and up to date. And it's just very standard, your listing of positions and time frames. Make sure you include your education on there. Just clear and concise work history. I know we all have resumes out there, but just know that this is something that your professors who are looking at this to accept you into the program are looking for your work history and the type of work that you're doing and your capabilities. So just think about that when you're revising your resume. And then as far as the personal statement, here's some clear guidelines. And it's just mainly just remembering to put your name at the top of the page. And the essay should be 2 to 4 pages, double-spaced. And as we had mentioned before, it should start with an educational section talking about your undergrad studies and then graduate studies you may have completed. This is a time, if your grades were not fabulous, to kind of highlight what may have made things come off the tracks. Don't go into huge detail, but do let us know if there was some extenuating circumstances. Also, you should cover your professional work experience. And if your degree is not in engineering, just really highlight any areas or aspects of your occupation that do relate to engineering. And that would be helpful information for our committee when they're reviewing your application. And then just go ahead and talk about your career goals and how you think this program would help you achieve your goals. And this is where your due diligence in doing research on the programs that are available, looking at the different programs that you are considering, and making a determination and highlighting here in this section of your goal statement or personal statement why you think our program is going to be a good fit for you, what competencies you hope to achieve from our program, and how you think that we're going to help or strengthen that. And then when you're doing your request for transcripts, we do require, as I said, in the end, official transcripts. You can upload your unofficial transcripts for review purposes, but if you're going to go through the application process, you might as well just request those transcripts at the beginning and have them loaded into your application so you're not fumbling around and trying to get that done in the 11th hour. And they, as they say here, in a sealed envelope, but in the new age, we're doing everything electronically, and I strongly recommend you do things electronically because it's quicker and cheaper, and it's seamless. It's easy for you to do in just a couple of clicks. And any undergrad community colleges that may appear on your bachelor's transcript, we would need those. And any relevant graduate studies you've done, that would be helpful for us to see and for you to list in your application as well. And then sometimes you can get online and pull up academic record or grade report, and that's not considered official and style out your application. All right, and then when requesting your references, as I said before, put your name of your recommender, their email address, and an option to attach a PDF file. The request form is emailed to your recommenders when you save and close this page. So this is a really important aspect. If you get up to this section, this is usually one of the most time-consuming processes of the application process. So you really want to give your recommenders a deadline as well. When you're talking to them, ask them, would you be able to submit your recommendation by the 15th of the month? And if they look conflicted and they're not thinking that they can make it, just keep going and ask for other recommendations. You know, I'm just using the 15th as an example, but, you know, realistically you would want to give them 2 weeks before the actual deadline, so if they have to push it out a bit, you know, it'll still work out to your advantage. We need a minimum of 2 letters of recommendation, but we always have you ask for 3 just for that reason, in case one of them get busy or can't do the recommendation because of extenuating circumstances. So when you get to this final part, this is where you double check the program code, and it is listed here, the MS7271. It's the online civil engineering program. You just want to make sure you're using online. And then as far as submitting your fee, you'll be doing that electronically as well. And once your application is sent in, I get notified, and I will help and track this throughout the whole application process and stay in close contact with you to make sure you know where you're at in the process. So please go ahead and email me. I am the Senior Enrollment Advisor for the Civil Engineering Online Program, and that's my contact information. You may be working with your own advisor as well, but you know, as a fallback, please always feel free to contact me if needed. And now we'll go for any questions you might have. And I am getting a question about the actual deadlines, and I'm going to speak in broad terms since this is a webinar we'll be using going forward. We have 3 terms. We have fall, spring, and summer. The fall semester classes begin at the end of August, so you would want to get everything in a month earlier or the end of July. The spring semester is the 2nd week of January, so a month earlier would be the 2nd week of December. And then the summer semester would be the 2nd week of May, so you would want to get your documents in the 2nd week of April, a month prior. And feel free to finish your application earlier than that. It's always a good idea because there is always a rush at the end to submit applications. And then as far as any other questions go, please contact your enrollment advisor, contact me. I'm here to help you go through the whole process and work with you on your application. Do let me know if there's anything we can do to help, and thank you again for joining us today.